want you to think about something before I tell you this story. Think about the last time you bought groceries. Think about how much you bought, whether the amounts felt right, whether you stopped to wonder, even for a second, why you were buying more than you needed. You probably didn't. Most people don't. That's exactly what happened to Ellie Marsh. She started buying bread for two, milk in the larger carton, extra portions every week, climbing so gradually she never once asked herself why. She just adjusted, like it was normal, like it had always been that way, until she found something she couldn't explain. That was November 15th, 2025. The last time anyone heard from Ellie Marsh. But to understand what happened to her, you need to go back further, to her father and to the house he bought. Ellie's father bought Hawthorn Villa in 2019, a Victorian detached in the English countryside. Solid structure, good bones, priced well below market. The listing said vacant since 2013. He never asked why a sound house had sat empty for 6 years. That's the kind of thing you don't ask when the numbers work. He died in October 2024, heart attack, 3 weeks before the resale. The house passed to Ellie, along with the loan it was supposed to clear. She couldn't sell it unfinished. She couldn't afford not to finish it. So she went back to Hawthorn Villa to complete what her father had started. She didn't understand then why he'd always gone alone. When she collected his belongings from the solicitor, she found 3 renovation notebooks, measurements, contractor quotes, paint codes, normal. But there were gaps, entries from June 2024 that stopped mid-sentence, ink trailing off, as though the pen had been set down mid-thought and never picked up again. July had been torn out entirely, not cleanly, ripped. Jagged edges, paper teeth still caught in the spine stitching. August resumed in a different hand. Same ink, same pen. But the letters were smaller, more deliberate. The kind of writing that comes when someone is choosing each word very carefully. September 18th, 2024. He had found the kitchen window unlatched again. He had checked all the locks twice before leaving the previous night. He wrote that he didn't understand. September 29th. The back bedroom door was open when he left. He had locked it. The last entry was October 2nd, 5 days before he died. I think someone has been living here. I don't know for how long. I'm going to stay overnight and find out. Nothing after that. Ellie returned to Hawthorn Villa in March 2025. She photographed every room before leaving. The house felt still, neutral, not abandoned, sealed. The kind of air that has been kept rather than forgotten. That night, reviewing the photos on her laptop, she found it. The kitchen shot, taken with the back door still open behind her, showed the window above the sink. Open, just slightly. The latch tilted at an angle she hadn't left it in. She remembered the resistance of that latch, the small click when it caught. She had been deliberate about it. She told herself she'd made a mistake. She didn't believe it. Renovation started a week later. 3 builders, Marcus, Dean, and an older man named Phil, who worked steadily and said very little. First morning, tools unloaded, work underway. By mid-morning, Marcus had moved his toolbox from the utility room to the hallway without mentioning it to anyone. When Ellie asked, he said the utility room smelled wrong. Warm, he said. Lived in, not damp, just warm, the way a room smells when someone has recently been in it. That afternoon, an internal door that had been locked the night before was standing open. A toolbox had migrated from the hallway to the kitchen. No one admitted to moving it. The builders started working in pairs after that. No one explained why. Week 2. Renovation waste, bagged and sealed in the utility room for collection. One afternoon, Ellie returned from lunch to find a bag lighter than it should have been. Not torn, not disturbed at the seal, just lighter, like something had been removed from it with care. A second bag vanished entirely 2 days later. That same evening, a half-used carton of milk sat in the bin. Seal broken, contents reduced by roughly a third. Ellie stood at that bin for a long time. She checked the date. She pressed the foil seal flat, trying to reconstruct a morning that wouldn't come back to her. She could not remember opening it. The villa smelled faintly of detergent when she came in that day. And beneath that, something older, something that sat at the back of the throat like the air in a room that has been lived in for a very, very long time. Then the coat appeared. Week 3. Downstairs closet hanging on the rail with the dust sheets and her father's old work jacket. A woman's raincoat, dark blue, size medium. Well worn at the cuffs, but clean. Pockets empty. Collar straight. Ellie left it on the banister with a handwritten note asking if anyone had forgotten it. No one claimed it. 3 days later, it was back in the closet, hung neatly. Collar straightened, facing the same direction as her father's jacket. She should have thrown it away. She didn't. The water heater started switching itself on in week 2. She would turn it off, watch the pilot light die, feel the dial settle, and return the next morning to a scalding tank. She installed a new timer. The tank still ran overnight. She sat in the kitchen one evening until nearly 10 p.m., watching the control panel through the open utility room door. The pipes ticked. The boiler did not come on. She drove home, came back at 7 a.m. to water so hot the tap handle was warm to the touch. She stopped turning it off. Week 3, she installed cameras. Just, basic units on the entrances and the hallway. Motion detection, timestamps, all that. But the anomalies continued. A damp sink in the morning, crockery in the drying rack she hadn't washed, a bathroom mirror wiped clean of condensation in an otherwise cold room. The cameras recorded nothing, empty corridors, undisturbed air. When she reviewed the footage in detail, she found the gaps. 2 seconds here, 4 seconds there. Not corrupted, not looped, just absent, as though those moments had not occurred. The builders left one by one, no formal end. Calls unreturned. Jobs that reached natural pauses and were never followed up. The last time she saw Phil, he was standing in the kitchen doorway with his level in one hand, staring at the back wall. He stood there for nearly a full minute without measuring anything. Then he packed his bag and walked out. He texted that evening, short, apologetic, saying he'd taken another job. He had 3 days of work left at Hawthorn. Ellie started noticing changes in herself around week 4. She stopped hanging her coat on the hook by the front door, began leaving it on the floor. She stacked the plates differently. She started avoiding the back bedroom upstairs without ever consciously deciding to. The decision had simply been made, somewhere she couldn't locate. And the groceries. She only noticed when she reviewed 4 weeks of receipts together. The quantities climbing since mid-April. Bread for 2, milk in the larger carton. Extra portions steadily increasing. The numbers didn't match a woman living alone. They matched a woman who had quietly begun accommodating someone else. She started staying overnight in May. That first night, just past midnight, water ran in the kitchen. There was this soft hiss, like a tap turned low. It lasted about 30 seconds, then just silence. She told herself it was old pipes, pressure maybe. She kept telling herself that until she finally fell asleep. In the morning, a glass of water sat on the counter near the sink. The outside of the glass was beaded with condensation, still cold. She knew she hadn't poured it. She washed the glass. She didn't tell anyone. Second night. This is the part. She woke at 3:17 in the morning. She knows because she checked her phone straight away, the way you do when something wakes you up and you need something solid to hold on to. The hallway outside the sitting room was dark, the kind of dark that doesn't clear no matter how long you stare. Shapes sort of come together and fall apart without ever turning into anything real. Someone was standing in the hallway, not right at the threshold, but further back, near the foot of the stairs. The figure wasn't tall. It wasn't moving. It stood with a stillness that felt practiced, not accidental. Ellie didn't move, didn't say a word. Her throat just closed up, not really a choice. She and the figure stayed like that. She can't say for how long, really. She blinked. The hallway was empty. She turned on every light in the house and didn't sleep again. In the morning, 2 teacups sat in the drying rack by the sink. She'd never made tea in that house. She only ever drank coffee. The council inspector came in May. He checked the locks, tested the alarms, showed her a printout of overnight electricity usage. Regular spikes between 11 at night and 6 in the morning. Consistent, unexplained. He suggested maybe it was a timer fault. He confirmed the property was legally unoccupied. He mentioned gently renovation fatigue, how memory fills in the gaps wrong when you're under stress for too long. After he left, Ellie stood in the hallway for a long time. Her coat was on the wrong hook. She hadn't moved it. She just left it where it was. One afternoon in late August, she came back from the hardware shop to find a cup of tea on the kitchen table, still steaming, the kettle warm to the touch. She stood in the doorway for a moment. Then she walked to the sink, poured it out, and went upstairs to continue painting. She did not wonder who had made it. That, she wrote, was the part that should have frightened her most. She had been avoiding the back bedroom since April, structurally fine, nothing urgent. She was saving it for last. In September, she needed to measure the windows for curtains. She unlocked the door. Small room, bare. A single bed with no mattress cover, a nightstand, a window with the latch painted shut. On the nightstand, a pair of reading glasses, thin silver frames, one lens faintly scratched near the lower edge. Her father's glasses. The ones he had been wearing when he died, the ones he had been buried in. She picked them up. They were warm, not room temperature, not faintly warmed by a nearby radiator. Warm the way glasses are warm when they have just been set down by the person wearing them. She set them back on the nightstand. She went home and read every page of the notebooks. In the torn July section, she pressed the remaining pages flat under a lamp and read the impressions left by his pen on the sheets beneath. Fragments only. Not leaving. Her things are still. I think she died here. She searched the property records that night. Hawthorn Villa had been occupied until 2013. Single occupant, female, elderly. Name, Margaret Hayworth. Cause of vacancy, deceased. No next of kin, no estate settled. The property had stood empty for 6 years before her father bought it. The following day, she went back to the bedroom. She opened the nightstand drawer. A small diary, worn leather cover, no name on the front. She turned to the final entry. October 2013. The estate agent said someone's coming to view the house next week. I should leave, find somewhere else, but I've been here 40 years. This is my home. I don't have anywhere else to go. I think I'll stay, just a little longer. They won't mind. I'll be quiet. The handwriting was small, neat, deliberate. It was the same handwriting as the August entries in her father's notebook. Ellie sat with that for a long time. Her father had stayed overnight to find out who was living in the house, and when he stayed, he found out. November 14th, 2025. The night before she went back, she wrote, "Tomorrow morning I'm returning to Hawthorn Villa. Not to finish the renovation, not to investigate. I'm going to leave the diary open on the kitchen table. I'm going to put the glasses back on the nightstand. I'm going to leave the blue raincoat in the closet. And then I'm going to lock the door. For the last time. She had disclosed nothing to the buyers. Legally, Hawthorn Villa was unoccupied and had been since 2013. That remained true by every standard that could be verified, except one. There is no record of Ellie Marsh after November 15th, 2025. No evidence of a crime, no sign of a struggle, because there was no intruder. Hawthorn Villa doesn't take by force, it takes by habit. It lets you adjust. It lets you accommodate. It waits while you start buying bread for two without noticing, while you stop locking one door, while you start leaving lights on. Small concessions you make so gradually, you never feel yourself making them. By the time you understand you're not alone, the house has already made room for you. Months later, a young couple moved in. They repainted the sitting room, fixed the garden gate, put up curtains in the upstairs windows. The neighbors said they seemed happy, kept to themselves. Lights on late in the kitchen, 11, sometimes midnight. She paused when she told me the last part. She said she could have sworn she saw 3 people in the kitchen window one evening, but the couple had told her it was just the 2 of them. She said she must have been mistaken. I didn't correct her. Hawthorn Villa, Bracken Hollow, England. Legally unoccupied since 2013. No reported break-ins, no criminal record attached to the address. A property that has passed through 3 owners in 6 years, none of whom completed a sale. Margaret Hayworth died inside Hawthorn Villa in the autumn of 2013. No next of kin, no estate, no one came for her things. It appears she never left them. This house does not frighten you. It does not chase you. It simply makes itself familiar. It adjusts to you slowly enough that you adjust back without noticing, until the adjustments have become routine, and the routine has become home, and the home is no longer only yours. If you find yourself buying more than you need, if the quantities don't quite match, don't try to account for it. Just leave. Don't stay to find out. We'll be back next week, same day, at 3 a.m. Sleep well. And if the air in your hallway feels a little too warm tonight, don't turn on the light. You might see who's been sharing the space.